Welcome to CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Mabra. It's time to show up as a confident leader to create a practice and life you love. Hello. Welcome to another episode of CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. It's Brandy Mabra here, and I am so excited because we're doing something a little bit different this week. Yay! So we have 85 episodes, 85 amazing episodes underneath our belt, and actually, the podcast will hit its 2-year anniversary in July. I mean, come on, like 2 years of consistently showing up, 85 episodes of just amazingness that has been dropped. I'm so blessed and thankful for all the amazing feedback that I get about the podcast. People listen to it as they're walking, people listen to it as they're getting dressed, people listen to it in the car, and just all the 5-star ratings that we continue to get. So all good things. So what we're doing for this week, because we've had over the 85 episodes, so many gems that have been shared. This week, what we're going to do is we're going to pull them together and give you almost like a bundle, like a bundle in order to help you get your mind right for growth. So I do a lot of tactical work with my clients, but it truly starts with your mindset. I always say, like, if your mindset is not right, the strategy is not going to work. I mean, it just won't. Like, I can give you 20 different strategies, but if your mindset is off, it's a waste of breath. So in this episode, you're going to hear from Monique Castro, who is amazing. So she talks all about how to balance purpose-driven work with profitability. Chanel Chamelau, who is just a firecracker when it comes to manifesting wealth and growth in her private practice. And then you'll have me dropping in with some solo episodes and some gems, and coming from a place of my faith that really has held me up enduring big leaps in my business in how to be prepared for the practice that you want. So enjoy this episode, enjoy something different, and make sure you got your notebook and your pens ready and take it all in. So I will see you guys later. Enjoy.
I will say I had my own stumbling blocks early on of trying to meet all the needs and, and sacrificing my own like financial, like wellness in that and like what that did and was not helpful for me, right? So I'm like, this is not sustainable, had a lesson there. And then, so in that, it's really like, okay, when we think about, I really lean on indigenous core values, right? And one of them is reciprocity. And with reciprocity, this is the exchange, that mutual exchange. Now, when we think of like maybe our great grandparents, what reciprocity looked like then is different than what it is now. The reciprocity today is going to be, in some ways, the exchange of the financial resource, right? That is how I'm able to have a home. That's how I'm able to be able to pay for childcare for my son to be in a great like educational setting. It is the ways in which I'm able to have different office locations and pay for that, right? So in order for us to do that, the reciprocity here is going to be that exchange of the financial resource. So it was a lot of, for me, also the reframing of it. Okay, how is this reciprocal? How is this sustainable? Right? Because we need to have that exchange. I am a person who is sitting across from someone providing a very specialized, like amazing service, but I need to be compensated for that. So I also did a lot of investment, right, in my education, in my time. Like there are student loans, like there are all these things. It's like, well, how do I, you know, so this is one way of doing that. So that's one way. Another indigenous core value that I have, or that we have, is our responsibility to give back, right? So I can't give back just therapy, because therapy is like that's a sustainable thing for us, right? But what we can give back is in other ways. And this is one way that we give back, is like that we also employ other Native and Indigenous therapists. I feel like I do have a responsibility to train other folks, and so I do this in different ways. Sometimes it's through contracts. It's going to be through, just different speaking engagements and opportunities to connect with folks. So there's different ways in which I give back. Sometimes that's for free. Sometimes there's, I get an honorarium for that. But I do think it's important. And the way we give back to the practice is when we do offer some of these like free offerings or engagement opportunities for folks. It's what a new provider, before they even like apply for the position would very much know around our like our core values. We have it, shared. We talk about it often. We open it up in all of our workshops and trainings with the core values, so people know like what we are, where our foundation is, and where our core values are. And then it's very much continuous in how we talk about it within the practice with our team. And we talk about that from both like a capitalistic way of like, okay, this is how capitalism works, and we have to acknowledge that that is very much present in our lives. But how do we also understand that and not like fully like conform to that, but knowing it's very present, but also do it in a way that is aligned with our values? Because we do need to get paid, but at the same time, like, what are we promising to our community for this like exchange? We're promising them quality therapy services in a way that is culturally like centered and is uplifting our lineages, right? This you don't just get that anywhere, right? So in order to do that, we have to talk about it, because there is going to be money conversations like, well, we should give this for free. Absolutely, I want to give all of this for free, but is that going to sustain us? Is that going to make sure that we have a roof over our heads? Maybe not. But how then do we meet the need? Because we hear our community, this is expensive for some folks, right? Not all folks, but some folks is, I can't afford this. Okay, so how do we meet that need without like compromising our like financial wellness, but also not putting that burden on a potential client? Okay, partnerships. There are resources. How do we tap into those resources that we know are also values aligned? It's talking about it. So we have a lot of conversations, especially when someone is entering our practice, maybe from a community mental health, where you don't have that exchange of money, right? You don't have to say, hey, I'm going to provide you this service and you're going to pay me this amount. These are sometimes hard conversations. Like, I don't want to ask my community like to pay me. I get it. It's uncomfortable, but let's talk about that. So we do talk. We do have a lot of conversations. Um, and then we realize like, okay, like how do we then do it this way? And you know what? To be honest with you, like, yeah, folks will share with us that, oh, that's expensive. They might even say right now, I can't afford that. But what are other ways that I can connect with you? And we're like, absolutely. Here are other ways to connect with us. Or how can we find different, unique, or innovative ways to bring the services? So we're open to doing, well, we very much do things very differently, I would say. And that's part of the conversations we have as a team, is we're going to do it different.
This was a test for me, right? Because in order to have that kind of event, I mean, people like we had everything, everything. We had a smoothie bar. Everyone got smoothies. Everybody got smoothies after the wellness event. Last year, no one got no smoothies. No one got any smoothies after the wellness event. It was a wellness event. They got water and we went home, and so like essentially this year everyone got a smoothie event. They got lavender tea. For the celebration dinner, we had filet mignon. It was so lovely. That steak was really good. I'm sorry if you don't eat meat, but that was really good. That was a really good steak. They just the food was amazing, and so even one of our clients said, that she was spoiled and we fed her well, and that was one of the goals. That was part of the budget, and it was to make sure that if nothing else, people were going to eat well during this retreat, and it happened. But even with that, to be able to do some of these things, it was there is an investment that's part of that, right? There's a price that comes with that, and I was like, wow, God, this is a really big vision, especially for my stage of business growth, right? This is a big vision. But he told me, I got you. And so I fully stepped into it. And let me tell you something. He 110% had me. 110% had me. I wanted to back out of that thing probably about 50 million times. I'm not even going to lie. I was calling the event coordinator saying, is there any way we can get out of this contract? Is there any way we can change our mind? And she was like, no, I'm going to hold you to the vision. I'm going to hold you to the vision. And so she made me stick to it. But the up level that I've had since then, I'm going to tell you something. You can't tell me nothing. You cannot tell me nothing. Now, is God still teaching me lessons and still working with me? Of course, of course. But at the end of the day, that retreat, again, I am not the same person as what I was going in, and I'm a completely different person since coming out, right? And so I posted on Instagram about how my mission and vision is so clear. And I should say my God given mission and vision is so clear. The purpose that I have in the world is so clear. The reason why I do what I do is so clear. The reason why I have all this business experience is so clear. Why I love business, why I love breaking down business models, why I love leadership, why I love looking at numbers, why I love like all this stuff, like it's all now connected for what I'm supposed to do, in the world. And that's really freeing. When you are in so much alignment with how you're supposed to show up or what you're supposed to talk about or who you're supposed to help, all of that is so freeing compared to just still trying to figure it out. And so it's just exciting for what I know is to come ahead. But what's more exciting is the confidence that was gained from just going through this experiment, if you want to call it that, and the story that I'm able to tell you in the work that I'm supposed to do. So I believe that anytime that you're blessed with something and 110% that it was God, right? You couldn't have done it without his strength or his focus or his ability or his resources, then you need to make sure that you give the glory to him, right? So this is my part. This is my part because everyone in that room heard it, but I need for other people to hear it. And I need for you to step into what you're supposed to do and what God's called you to do, right? And not to think I won't have, again, the resources that I need in order to do it. No, he will. He will definitely make sure that you're set up for success. He's going to make sure you have the right people. He's going to make sure that you have the time. He's going to I mean just everything, like everything just lined up. And then there was more than enough. Like that was the other thing too. Like even paying for it. I paid it off early. And I thought that it was going to be so hard. I paid it off early. How did I do that? Because God called me to do something bigger. He called me to level up. He called me to have more confidence in myself. He called me to do more. And so I know that that's what's on the other side of you. So again, the question is, what are you sitting on? What has God told you to do? What has God put it in your heart to do that maybe you don't think that you're good enough to do? Or maybe you think that it's not going to work out. I'm here to tell you it will be fine. I'm here to tell you it's going to be hard. I'm here to tell you it's going to stretch you. I'm here to tell you you're going to feel uncomfortable. I'm here to tell you that you can do it though. You can absolutely 110% do it if you decide to step into the vision, the mission, the purpose. He's got you. Like I can't say it any other way, and I don't want to keep repeating myself. And I'm even off my notes. Like I have notes that are in front of me, and I'm even going off my notes. And then the same thing happened even at the retreat, like where it was like an out of body experience. And even though I'm not crying, my message is still the same. And I need for everyone who can hear my voice to truly just trust because the enemy doesn't want you to step in the full version that God is calling you to be, right? He wants you to back down. He wants you to stop. He wants you to think that it's a lie, right? Because I went through all of that. I had loved ones that were telling me, I've been a full time business owner now for years. I was telling people that I needed to go back to like work and go get a W-2 job and this wasn't going to work out. I had just delays of things happening. And just you could just tell like what in the world. And there were moments of just being attacked and anxiety and fear and I mean everything. And there were a couple nights, I'll be honest, where I slept with my Bible. And so it was a true testament. It was a true testament. And I know at this point in time there's just so many different things that are happening in the world. One of the things I've gotten really um, good about, I will say, is recognizing when I need to tap into a higher source of strength, right? Like, this is beyond me. And that's truly, truly, truly what work like this requires, right? Because you're putting yourself out there in uncomfortable ways. trying to help people in different types of ways, dealing with different types of personalities and different ways of how people need to be helped. And if you have a team, then trying to deal with your team and handle your team and lead your team and trying to make sure the money's good, like all of it, all of it. And so my question is, who do you go to? Who do you go to? And so for me, it's God. It is 110% God.
I think confidence is the
Mhm.
thing that is hard. Like when you have to have confidence in your vision
Mhm.
and in your dream, like the belief that it's going to happen. And
Mhm.
I think that when people are not clear on that vision, they're kind of like wishy washy, like, I think it could happen. I'm halfway committing to that dream. That brings a lot of confusion and self doubt. And so, if you can really take the time to say, this is what I'm going to do. And if I'm having doubt or worry or fear, then what is at the root of that? How am I showing up
Mhm.
in that vision, right? And I think that's what I see a lot with clients is that kind of like wishy-washiness. And I say, do you truly believe that the vision that you have set forth will happen? And same thing with business, like, are you ready to commit to this? Can you see it for yourself? Sometimes it's a no. And okay, what needs to be done? Who are the people that you need to align with to take this vision to reality? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is so good, so good. Because I think some of it could be where people could be like, "Oh, this is kind of woo woo." What's the strategy? Like, what, like, what is, like, what's the strategy? But it honestly, I know for me, I've experienced this in my life where I've been so committed to the vision and where I can actually see the vision as unfolding. I've been able to step into, um, I can see myself in the room, and I can see myself like looking at like the bank account. I can see myself being this certain type of person or whatever that vision is, and then to when you actually get to it, it wasn't exactly how I thought that I would get there, but the it just kind of, because I had the vision, then everything was coming towards me that allowed for me to step into the vision, right? Hey, private practice owner, I have great news. Private Practice CEO is officially open for enrollment. So if you've been sitting at your desk frustrated with the business side of your practice, not too sure what to do about your team dynamic, haven't looked at your numbers in a while, then this program is for you. Inside of Private Practice CEO, we're all about you scaling your practice for growth, sustainability, and profit, making sure that we are setting you up for success. So that way you can leverage your practice. You can have freedom of time in your practice, and you don't have to sit there burned out, frustrated, and overwhelmed because you're not sure what to do next. If any of this sounds great to you, then I want to make sure that you apply today because the program is phenomenal. We have amazing testimonials for practice owners who have been able to have more structure, able to make more money, being able to lead from a place of empowerment, and definitely been able to leverage their practice to go after more. So click the link today. So I'm curious because I know that you talk about yourself in the book and your story and how there were folks who, even with you opening up the practice, some folks said not to do it and all the things. So do you want to share maybe some of your story and some of the visions that you have or had in your journey to manifest them to get you to where you are today?
Yeah, I think one of the pivotal stories in the book is just wanting to open up my own private practice. And that was maybe in like 2010, having the vision, that I wanted this for myself. And back then, that was a retirement destination for therapists, right? You had to go into agency and do all the other things. It wasn't the thing for a young person to want to do or attain. And people would say, no, you're crazy for wanting to do that. And I just kept on having affirmations. I would go against the grain. I'm a rich social worker. I'm gonna have this practice. I didn't know how it was gonna unfold. I remember doing a vision board for the first time, and I found a lady who had like an image of a line out the door. So I just like cut my last name on top of her door, and I put that on my vision board. And I was just like, everyone, this is what I'm going to do. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I kept on even saying, like, I'm a rich social worker. I'm a rich social worker. Come to find out, there was a group, a woman who was leading other social workers to develop business skills. And the name of her group was Rich Social Worker. And so I joined that. And I was like, oh, this is in alignment. I didn't even know, I didn't have that language in, but I'm like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And she's the one who taught me how to, create a business. And so that mentorship, like not, again, not having the how, but the opportunities were coming. And it's like you're magnetic to the right people in the situations, and you say yes. And that trajectory, it took me years, but I knew that every step that I took was getting me closer to what I wanted, which was the private practice that morphed into the wellness center. I remember even seeing a image like your website, and I was like, oh, she's a badass. Like, I would just look at it and I'm like, I want to meet you one day. I literally said that. I was like, I want to meet you were in that sparkly dress. And I was like, oh my goodness. And bam, you're my coach.
Right.
Yeah, I was excited. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So saying yes to those opportunities, people too.
What you want is there for a reason. One of the things that I do in my office as I'm sitting here recording this is I keep my vision in front of me. I have it where I look at it every single day. I have my goals in front of me, and if there's anything pressing that I want, then I leave it throughout my house. So for example, I have little notes of 30-day goals that I have on the mirror in my bathroom. I have it on my coffee maker because I make coffee every morning. I have it readily available. There's a picture of my significant other on my bedside table, and on that frame are any 30-day goals that I have, right? And so part of what I do is I always try to make sure that I am financially set up for success, I'm emotionally set up for success, I am physically set up for success, I am mentally set up for success, and I am holistically doing what I need to do. Now, this is not about perfection. There are tons of times where I'm always in need of refinement. However, my goal is always to show up my best self, right? And so for those of you who know me or have seen things I've posted in Instagram or on my stories, one of the things is the devotionals that I read every day, or trying to make sure that I'm in my Bible every day. And that's part of my mental piece. That's part of my emotional piece. That's part of me stepping up into me being the best version of myself, right? And so one of the things that I look at every day is what is that best version? To put this in a different way, what would X do? And for you, your job is to fill in that X piece. Whether if it's a certain amount of money you want to make. So since we talk about $1 million practices here, what would seven figure you do? What would the CEO of a big company do? What if that's what your vision is? What would the healthier version of you do, right? And making decisions from that place. And so when you think about the question again, are you prepared for the practice you want? We can take that into a number of different ways. We could take it as, are you prepared for the life you want? Are you prepared for the money you want? Are you prepared for the relationship that you want? Are you prepared for maybe the big project that you're waiting for? Like, are you prepared for that? Are you fully stepping into it like it's already happened, like it's already yours? Or if it were to show up today, if God gave it to you today and said, here, it's yours. Take it. Would you know what to do with it? Would you be prepared for it? And so I love this question. It's something that I'm continuously asking myself. It's something that I talk about on the workshop that I host every single month, $1 million practice. It's something that I talk frequently with our clients about, like, are you prepared for that? Because there's a lot of information in that question. And it's more than just a yes or no. If you are saying, no, I'm not prepared for what I want. No, I'm not prepared to make the amount of money I want. No, I'm not prepared to work the schedule that I want. No, I'm not prepared to have the practice that I envision. No, I'm not prepared to maybe write the book, or I'm not prepared to speak on the stage, or I'm not prepared if this feature were to come out. then the question is, what do you need to do to be prepared? Right. And some of it, it's very simple. It doesn't even require like this extensive strategy. Some of it is maybe just taking one step to get you closer. Right. So one of the aspirations that I love, and I've talked about this and or that I have for myself, is I want to get a book deal in 2024. It's something that I've talked about in my Instagram stories. It's something that I am actively working towards. At this point in time, I've had conversations with an agent, and so working on book proposal, like all of that, because I want that for myself. I could always do self-publishing. I think self-publishing is very powerful, but the vision that I have for myself is a book deal. I want a book deal. I want someone to pay me in advance for the work that I'm getting ready to do, compared to writing the book and having to do all those things after the fact. And that's just something that's on my heart, right? And so it doesn't mean that it's right, doesn't mean that it's wrong, it doesn't mean that it's the only way to do anything, but it's there. And even as I'm going through and doing my review for 2023, one of the things that I've noticed is I have been taking notes for a book for years. There's like little pockets of information, whether if it's been written down or a story that I think I want to share, or there's notes in my phone, there's notes in my computer, there's a folder on my desk that's like book ideas, like all these things. And so I've been preparing for this moment. So when I got on the phone with the agent, it was, it was nerve-wracking a bit, but at the same time I was prepared for it because there was a lot of ideas and a lot of different things that I've kind of fleshed out over the years to prepare for the moment. And so you just never know when God's going to bless you with what you've been asking for and when you're going to be able to step into that full vision. So your job is to prepare for it. Prepare for it like it's already yours, right? And so that's why I love business planning. I've said this before. That's why I love business planning, because when you're doing business planning, you're actually stepping into the plans that you believe are going to happen. You're actually having faith that everything is going to manifest its way into your life. And that can be very, very powerful, very powerful. So, just to stick with this theme, when you're thinking about, are you prepared for the practice you want? What comes up for you? What comes up for you? We're going to go through 3 things that you can do to prepare for the practice that you want. And I want you to think past these even 3 ideas. I want you to think deeper as we're talking about things and as we're doing this discussion. So, the 3 ways for you to do this is number 1, delegate tasks you hate whenever possible. And that sounds like, okay, Brandy, like what is that? What does that mean? How is that going to get me to what I'm prepared for? Maybe I don't even want to hire a team. Maybe I'm tired of hiring. Maybe, whatever these feelings that might be coming up for you when you're thinking about like, oh, being prepared for what you're asking for or being prepared for the practice that you want. The number 1 way is to delegate tasks that you hate whenever possible. Here's why. Your time is valuable. Your time is so valuable. And so if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to choose to believe that you have big goals, aspirations, big dreams. And I know even the clients that I end up working with, they are phenomenal, right? And so some of them are the only specialty in their area, the only one, you know, one of 2 maybe. And that's really powerful. Some of them are 7 figures plus, have really knocked it out of the park when it comes to their specialty. One of our clients today just got featured in a really big publication. One of them has a huge publication that's getting ready to drop next week. Like our clients are always doing really, really big things. And so I'm going to assume, whether you work with me or not, if you're listening to this, you have really big goals and dreams. So the reason why number 1 is to delegate tasks you hate whenever possible is because you want to put yourself in a place to have time. And so it's really interesting when you start to put yourself in a place just to stop and to think, like, what do I want? What do I need? But if you are drowning in work If you are in a place where you have no free days, no free time, you're always in the weeds of your practice, you're always running around like a chicken with your head cut off, you're not happy, you don't have the team that you need to support you, it gets really hard to think ambitiously, right? It gets really hard to think out in the future. It gets really hard for you to step into something bigger because you're tired. And you can't have the energy that you need when you're tired. You can't. You just want to take a nap. I mean, who the heck wants to write a book proposal when you need to take a nap, or to pitch yourself for, bigger things when you want to take a nap? Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and it empowers you as the CEO of your practice. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe, share the message, and leave a review. If you want more information and support in growing and scaling your practice, click the link in the show notes to take advantage of our free resources or apply to work with me directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.